Thinking about flipping homes but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. I'm Nicole, and I've spent years mastering the art of transforming rundown properties into profitable investments. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 crucial steps to flipping homes successfully, from scouting the right property to making the sale. After years of being deeply involved in numerous flips, I've refined these steps based on real-world experience and countless hours dedicated to performing this craft. This isn't just a theory, it's a practical guide filled with hard-earned insights designed to help you avoid common pitfalls and maximize your profits. Whether you're just curious about flipping or you're ready to dive into your first project, these insights will provide you with a solid foundation to start flipping like a pro. Let's dive into these 7 essential steps and turn those flipping dreams into reality. All right, so let's jump into step number 1, finding the property. This is the most important step because you really can't renovate a property if you don't have one. So where do you start when you're brand new thinking about getting into flipping? One of the easiest places is the MLS. Working with agents, you can go on Redfin or Zillow to hunt your own properties and then even call agents from there that actually have the listing and try to negotiate them. Another great place where we found extreme success is working with wholesalers. So jump into some Facebook groups, start going to some networking events and say, hey, I'm looking for a deal. And you will be surprised at how many deals are really out there once you start doing this. Get on lists of people who are just wholesaling properties. The larger wholesalers that you're on their list, the more properties are going to pass through your desk. So it's all a numbers game. Just start getting out there, looking, digging in, asking questions, and hunting for those properties. Now, when I say hunting for those properties, I did just mention 2 of the ways that we started out. But you can also start out by picking up the phones, cold calling foreclosure lists. You can door knock. You can send mailers to homes that maybe just look like they have been neglected for years or maybe are vacant. So there's so many different ways. But if you're just getting started and you want a quick, fast, easy way to jump into it, those are the 2 that really worked for us. Just jumping into the MLS, speaking with agents, and then networking with wholesalers. Step number 2, you're going to want to evaluate the properties that come across your desk. You want to make sure that you know what the renovation's going to be, that you know what your comps are going to be. So this is a very important step. Again, if you're just starting out, working with an agent to help you with comping the property will also be extremely, extremely helpful. Or talk to another flipper, somebody else who's already in the business. They know what's going on, and maybe they'll take you under their wing. You want to give value in that aspect as well. So maybe if you've got some cash, you say, hey, I really want to do a deal. I've got some cash. Can you help me out? I'll hunt some of these, but can I just check back with you and see if my numbers make sense? You're going to find a lot of value if you're already working with somebody who knows what they're doing. So this is also a really good strategy that you can use jumping into the game, but making sure that you're evaluating the property in step number 2 is going to be important because you do hear this all the time. You make your money when you buy, right? You don't want to make a mistake here, but also don't get too hung up in the analysis paralysis in this area. Speak with a couple contractors, get an idea of what the renovation is going to cost, and then talk to another flipper or an agent on what the ARVs are going to be. And you'll be able to make some pretty key decisions. And just, again, remember, this is a numbers game. So, for example, we have our metrics set up. If we're hunting deals, we like to analyze somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 deals. If we can offer on 10 to 20 of those, just throwing them out saying, hey, this is how my numbers work for me, then we have found that we're able to get 1 to 2 deals from doing that. So again, just a numbers game. Just get out there, start doing it and digging in. Number 3 is getting the property under contract. This sometimes can feel so cumbersome, especially when you're just starting out, but I'm telling you, get out there and do it. Be that negotiator, go out, make those offers, because you're not going to get what you want unless you ask for it. So here are a couple tips that we use when we're negotiating. We will come in, We'll make our offer, and sometimes we will make it lower depending on what we know is going on with the property. So if we don't think there's a lot of offers on the property, we can come in low to get the conversation started because we always know we can come up to our number. And hey, you have no idea what's going to happen here. Another strategy is you can come in super competitive and where you think your top number is going to be if you know there are multiple people interested. But if you've got some due diligence time, which we always recommend, then you can go in, get your inspection, make sure your renovations align, and fine tune those numbers. If you find in the inspection period that there are way more things wrong with the home than you initially anticipated, you had your contractor walk it, that's also another negotiating point, because people who are looking to get rid of these homes, they want to be done. And not that we want to use this tactic in a negative way. We don't want to use this to manipulate the situation, but you have to make sure you're getting into a good deal. So if you are going to come in hot and strong on an offer, make sure that due diligence, you have some time to renegotiate. If you need it, you may not need it. Now you've got the property under contract. What's next? You have to finance it. This is step number 4. You found your place. You've done your research. You've got it under contract. You've locked this sweet deal up. The next step is financing. Now, while this is number 4 in the step of the process of finding and handling your first flip, we highly recommend that you figure out financing options before you get to this point and you know where you're going to pull from. Start talking to some hard money lenders, some private lenders, and already have an idea of how you're going to fund the deal before you're out there searching for them. I really, really recommend this. But step number 4 is going to be funding the deal. So now you have it. How are you going to do this? Are you going to work with somebody who's got private money? Maybe they want to come in on a 50-50 split, or they just want to give you money for a return on their interest rate and completely passive investment. There's so many creative ways that you can finance a property. So this is a really fun step in the process to see, hey, how are we going to get this done? Just make sure that when you're doing this, you run your numbers conservatively and you're not over leveraging yourself, because especially as a new flipper, even as experienced flippers, things come up. And sometimes your ARV may be a little lower than you thought. The renovation budget may be a little higher. So we always recommend stay on this and on the numbers, especially in your first flip. And if you want to know a little bit more about private money lending and hard money lending, we should talk about that in a couple videos that we'll link below. All right, step number 5. You've got the deal, you've negotiated it, you've funded it, you've closed. Now the fun begins. This is my favorite part, and it's the renovation process. This is where you need to start building out your scope of work. I hope that you already have some contractors lined up that you've already built relationships with. If you haven't, then this is the time to start. Bring in contractors, start walking them through your project. Make sure you've got that detailed scope of work of exactly what you want done with the property, along with your budget. And once you've found that contractor that you feel good about working on the project, get that going. Make sure that you're staying on top of timeline and budgets throughout this, because a bad contractor or a lengthy renovation can really, really kill a deal. So make sure that you're super honed in on this. This should take just as much focus as analyzing the deal. You want to be heavily involved, especially on your first deal, making sure that you've got the right contractor and that they're staying on time and on budget for your flip. All right, so now you have your renovation all beautiful, buttoned up. You're going to go through your final punch list, making sure that everything looks beautiful. It's great. It's nice and clean. We highly recommend staging. We highly recommend staging properties to show people what it's like for them to live there. It just makes it an easier yes for people. So you've got the property buttoned up. The next step is marketing the property. We always use agents for this. Yes, you pay agents a commission. Yes, it takes out of your profit, but you absolutely should be already writing this into your numbers. When you have a good agent, your home is going to sell faster. So make sure that you're talking to other real estate investors and other people looking for a good agent who specifically knows how to sell a home and market a home, because this is going to be key. You don't want somebody who's just going to throw it onto the MLS and take some shoddy pictures and write an okay description. You want that person who's going to go in and say, we're going to get great photos of this. We're going to really make this listing stand out with a really unique description. We're going to price this just right. Make sure that they've got a strategy. And strategies vary from project to project. So maybe you want to list it slightly under market to get a bidding war. Maybe you just want to go for your top dollar and wait for that perfect buyer because you know that they're going to come in 2 or 3 weeks and you're still going to get full value for it. These different strategies, you're definitely going to want to talk over with your agent, but this is such a critical part in offloading the property, making sure that you have the right people on your team to get this property sold. And then step number 7 is selling the property. And I'm just gonna group this together with after it goes under contract, what happens. Because right now in this market, maybe 2 years ago, it wasn't like this. Everybody was waiving contingencies and paying over asking. That's not happening now. We're still in a pretty strong market here in Charleston. But what we have been seeing is there are longer due diligence periods where people are coming in and they're always coming back. They're asking for seller's credits. They're asking for repairs. They're asking for concessions. So while it's still, I believe in our market is a seller market, buyers do have a little bit more leverage than they did a few years ago. So always plan for this period of time to be very proactive. And this is also where a good agent is going to come in. Make sure your agent is really good at mitigating things that come up. Another thing we do is at this point, you know, every buyer is going to get an inspection on the home. We get post inspections to get ahead of it. Now, does this mean they catch everything on the first inspection? No. Inspectors are out there to find things wrong with the property. That's their job. If the property was perfect and they came back with a property's all good report, people would question it. So they're going to always find something. But what you want to do is mitigate anything that your contractor may not have seen that is going to come up and try to take care of it so it doesn't scare the end buyer away. Getting ahead of this has been key to keeping deals together for us. So now you're in this phase, this is another negotiation, and really lean into your agent for this because your buyer is going to now be negotiating, okay, should we do a price reduction? Should we do more work? And you're going to also want to leave this up to you and what you think. Personally, we always prefer to fix anything that's already under our contractor warranty. So if our contractor has already done it and they missed a couple things, for example, maybe the shower pressure isn't high enough or the water's not hot enough, we make sure our contractor goes back and fixes those things. In addition, for larger items and larger repairs, we tend to take care of those in the beginning, right? Like we don't really ever want to see that at the end. However, if things come up, we like to give credits, because it keeps our contractor team focused on other projects and it keeps the timeline moving. A lot of sellers, they're good with it. They just want that credit. So that's personally how we do it. And we found success just saying, hey, we're going to fix these couple things to not drag down our team, fixing up a bunch of other crazy stuff, and then just give a concession and underwrite that in your numbers. So those are the 7 steps. That last and final step is really negotiating everything to make sure that it hits that close table. Once it's hit the close table, you get that wire into your account and you're going to see your profits. Take it and move on to the next one. But I did promise you a couple quick tips before we head out of this video for new investors. So the first thing is start small. You don't have to get overwhelmed with large projects, especially when you're just jumping into this space. We had no idea what we were doing when we first jumped in. If you could start out with a light, easy cosmetic renovation just to get your feet wet, start to understand some of your base costs. What does it cost to redo a kitchen? What does it cost to redo a bathroom? Paint the walls. You can get in and out fairly quickly. And again, it just helps with those base costs. We really recommend just starting out small as you're getting started as an investor. Another tip, and this has been absolutely instrumental in our business, and that is networking. Get out there and network with other investors. As I mentioned earlier in this video, bring in other experienced flippers to help you on your project. A lot of people, if you bring the deal or you bring the money or you bring both and you just want some experience, you can negotiate that. And I'm telling you, no matter what profit split or what you're paying this person that has done maybe 10, 20, 30 flips, the value is going to be huge for you. Thanks for hanging out today. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you're liking and subscribing. If you have questions about these 7 steps, hit us up in the comments. We would love to engage with you on any questions that you have. And if you want to watch our video on the full renovation process from start to finish, it's linked down below. All right, toodaloo.